right? Black Science TV 111. This is Osei Kufuor. I'm back at y'all again. Today I'm coming to y'all to speak on behalf of health, because a lot of our people today is suffering from health, and we know that health determines our psychological reasoning. It determines the way that we act toward each other. It determines our loyalty for one another. So first things first is that a lot of black people today is dealing with cognitive suppression, meaning that they cannot remember a lot of things. They waking up and they can't remember what they're dreaming about. They can't dream. So I got something for you. This little thing here is called Kiwano, Kiwano. It's Kiwano. It's not hard to find. They seasonal. Sometimes you may have to order it international, but this right here is comprised of a high count of hydrogen, and we know that when you take in hydrogen, it helps you to trap memory. It's just like having a bank account. So everything that comes to your memory bank is trapped because hydrogen helps to override the diagram or the enzymes of those cells. So your cell consists of a nucleus. So if your nucleus is being surrounded by mucus and mercury and things like that from the genetically modified foods that we eat, then you will not be able to function. Your neurological system is going to be off whack. It's going to be off whack. And when you get enough mucus in the body, what it does is it starts to put a whole lot of weight on your veins. And we know that the veins in the body carries the electricity. This is why we should eat electric foods. So if you're not eating a lot of electric foods, for some people who are having seizures, this is good for you, because when your veins is disconnected or torn, the electricity jumps out into the blood and it's all over the place. So now your equilibrium is unbalanced. So Kiwano is good for you. That's one fruit that I got here, and it's also good for erectile dysfunction. So if you're having erectile dysfunction, that means that your veins is full of plaque. And so therefore your blood is not flowing, the electricity is not flowing down there. That's why we have to stop eating fast foods, because fast foods consist of things that produces mucus at a high rate in our body. So it's not good for you. Our biochemical structure is very original from everybody else or every other culture, because when you're looking at our body, when it goes into a system of photosynthesis, it starts to convert certain sunlights and certain frequencies into information in our body, and subconsciously it travels up to the brain and it starts to download. But if your memory banks is shot, then you will not be able to obtain any type of information that the universe is giving to you, because we don't just receive information from each other. We receive information from our other ancestors, which is out in the universe. The moon, the stars, the sun. Those are forms of our ancestors as well. Okay? So another thing too, if you're eating a lot of meat such as chicken, pork, beef, things of that nature, you must understand that they are injecting it with Corexit, Corexit. And Corexit is what cleans up oil. It damages oil. So when the BP oil spill happened, this is what they use to kill the oil off the surface, to clean it up. And as black people, we have oil in our DNA, which is carbon, which is also melanin. So we have to be careful of what we digest, because meat is not made for us. Our teeth is not in a diagrammal structure to be able to break down the meat. This is why a lot of black people today get false teeth or dentures at a young age. 50 years old, that's young. 40 years old, that's young. 60 years old, that's young. We shouldn't be walking around with false teeth at these ages. But because we have picked up and adopted traditions from our slave masters or oppressors, now we out of nature, we out of tune with nature. Could you imagine a dog meowing? Way out of nature. So, this is what we become. We have to have our own structure, our own environment. We have to have our own way of thinking. We have to have our own spirituality. Again, certain religions is food as well. So if you're putting things into your psyche or into your brain, and what you're doing is, if it's processed and it's lies, it causes certain ailments in the body. Believing a lie can make you sick. If you don't believe me, look at the Christians. If you don't believe me, look at the Muslims. They sick. No matter how much they pray over their food, they're still sick. You get what I'm saying? And the Muslims busy fighting the Christians, telling them you shouldn't be eating pork, which I'm in agreements to. But at the same time, I think that they should know that pork comes in many forms. When you're eating flour, you're eating pork. Anything enriched is pork. If you're eating cereal, you're eating pork. If you're eating cornmeal, you're eating pork. You get what I'm saying? When you're eating jelly, you're eating pork. And I can go on and on and on. So the thing is, while you're trying to push them from the pork in the form of meat, you have to understand that they practice something that's called gene splicing, which they can take cells from out of a pig and create other forms of pork. So you even got pork in your water now, because they are hip to the way that people are now eating healthier. And so this right here disturbs their financial agenda when it comes to the pharmaceuticals. See, the Food and Drug Administration is in the same administration for a reason, FDA. Why? Because they're going to give you the foods that make you sick, and then send you to the Drug Administration to experiment on you. So why not just don't eat those type of foods? So you don't have to give me your money. Y'all crying about health care. You wouldn't need health care if you ate the way your ancestor ate. You wouldn't need health care. So if you don't know your biochemical structure, then you don't know why you think the way that you think. Because again, everything that you eat determines your thoughts. So if I'm eating pork, and I know that pork produces trichinail worms, which can withstand heat of 5,000 degrees, no matter how long you cook that bacon or that pork, it still consists of trichinail worms. I think it's TRICHNAE worms. And when you start to ingest this type of stuff, these worms go up into your spinal cord, all the way up into your cerebral cortex, and cause a stroke. It causes Alzheimer's. I mean, that's just one way that it causes strokes and Alzheimer's. So we have to be very mindful to what we eat, because it helps us to determine how we think. I'm not going to go into a gas vehicle and put sugar in it. It's going to mess it up. So if your body consists of electricity or electric, then you have to give it electric foods or alkaline foods or foods high pH. You get what I'm saying? Because we melanated people. As black people, we have nutrients that's coming into us or being downloaded into us by way of certain other celestial bodies or ancestors, which is in the universe, which is the sun, the moon, and the stars. So we get ingredients from other bodies or other forms of food. But it can be blocked, because if you eating, this is what the government know. The government know that you get certain natural proteins from outside of yourself. But they block it. How do they block it? Because they're putting a lot of the lead, aluminum, manganese, and stuff in the food, which the metal causes the light to bounce off of it in a negative way. So when your cells is comprised of a lot of the metals and it's being blocked and the nucleus can't breathe, then you're going to be aggressive, because your cells is aggressive. It's trying to fight. So therefore, when you have to understand that your cells is a part of you. And at times they communicate with you. And at times you communicate with them. You get what I'm saying? So we have to be very, very careful. Again, if you have any questions pertaining to health and things of that nature, you can go to www.blackscience.webs.com or call 434-444-8005. Osei Kufuor. Love y'all. I'm out. Peace.